Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Matt, and in today's video, I have for you the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Subterror deck profile. This is post Marine Cess, post Umi Control, I suppose we'll call it. So, yeah, this is the deck profile that I got through up to Diamond 1 with, right? I climbed up through Diamond with. I used Eldritch to get from Plat to Diamond, then I decided to go Subterror to go from Diamond 5 to Diamond 4, to Diamond 1, sorry. So this is the deck profile. Just like previous videos, I am going to be walking through the deck building process here. So let's get started on that. So first, to start things off, we're going to start with our Subterror Core cards. So these cards are pretty much core to every Subterror deck. They're non-negotiable. Like, don't fuck with these ratios, okay? So 3 copies of Subterror Guru, 3 copies of Subterror Fiendess, 1 copy of Nemesis Archer, 3 copies of Hidden City, 2 copies of Final Battle. So let's go through each of these real quick. So Subterror Guru is your boss monster. Hilariously, he's 1600 attack, level 4. But because of his effect to basically like flip himself, when he flips, he searches other Subterror cards, and he can also flip himself back face down and flip your opponent's monsters face down, right? He's just amazing, right? Like, if you just sit on Guru, you can pretty much just win the game, like, just by outgrinding your opponent, not letting them do anything, right? Subterror Fiendess is your hand trap, is your primary hand trap, right? It's a searchable hand trap. So she has 2 effects. Very important that you know both effects. When your opponent activates card effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Target a Subterror monster you control, negate the activation, then change the target monster to face down in defense. So the Subterror monster that you target only has to be face up on when you activate this card on cost. So if it flips itself before this card resolves, it doesn't matter, okay? Just keep that in mind. Also, this is on the field, which a lot of times it will be. You can send it to the graveyard. However, note that it says you must send it to the graveyard, which means if you're under a card like D-Shifter or Macrocosmos, where everything gets banished, you cannot actually activate Fiendess effect, okay? Second effect, very important, highly underrated effect. The second effect says, target a face-up monster you control, change it to face-down defense position, and if you do, special summon a Subterror monster from hand or graveyard, face-up or face-down. So, this is important because this allows you to basically recycle your Subterror cards. So if they out your Subterror cards, like if they Kaiju your Guru, you can just summon Fiendess, flip the Kaiju face-down, revive Guru, and then flip the Kaiju back face-up, right? So this allows you to recur your cards. So your cards will never truly be go away. Also, you only have 3 Fiendess in the deck, but if you play correctly, you should always have 2 Fiendess in rotation, right? One on your hand or field, one in the graveyard, right? So what you do is on your turn, if you have a Fiendess in your graveyard and you have one in your hand, you normal the Fiendess from your hand, flip herself face down, or flip another monster you have face down, revive the Fiendess from the graveyard. Now you have 2 Fiendess, right? So this basically makes it so that you always have a Fiendess when you need it. So, yeah, very good. And it's a level 1 spellcaster, which means you can link it off into Link Karibo, you can link it off into Relinquish Anima, and it's a spellcaster, so it can be revived by the likes of Celine, right? So, yeah, keep that in mind. This is like 100% 3 of. Subterror Nemesis Archer. This card is really, really good, but not so good that you would run more than 1 copy. So the idea here is she has 2 effects. Her first effect says, start a damage step. If this card attacks an opponent's face-down defense position monster and you control another Subterror monster, you can shuffle that monster into the deck. So you don't even flip that monster. There's no battle damage, and you just bounce their freaking monster into the deck, which is hilarious, right? So you use this to out annoying cards like Mirror Jade, right? Because if you kill Mirror Jade, it Raigeki's your field. But if you attack a face-down Mirror Jade, you bounce it into their extra deck, and it doesn't do anything, right? This is also good against Philanderies, because Philanderies like having their birds in rotation, like in the banish pile. If their bird is face down and you attack one of their birds, it shuffles it back into the deck, right? So now they have to search that bird again, right? Yeah, this is just really good. Pendulums is too. Like, normally you destroy pendulums, they go to the extra deck, and then they get revived. If you just attack one of their face down pendulum monsters that you flip face down, right? You just bounce it back in the deck. It's just so good, right? Second ability, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle card effects on the graveyard, you can special summon a Subterror monster from your deck face up or face down. So most of the time you will be summoning Guru if you don't already have one in rotation. If you do have one in rotation, like in your graveyard or hand, you would summon Fiendess, right? Because then Fiendess can literally revive Nemesis Archer. So, yeah, really good card. This card is one of my favorite cards in the Subterror Core. It's a beautiful card. Look at this art. She's definitely the top waifu of the deck. Yeah, because Phoenix looks kind of like a lolly, so I'm not even going to go there. Anyway, 3 copies of Hidden City. This card literally says search a Subterror monster. When you activate it, which is great, it's also hilarious Ash bait, as some of you may have seen in my Adventures of deck series. A lot of times you open this in a Subterror in your hand, and then you activate Hidden City, the Ash, and like, okay, cool, I still have Guru. So, but yeah, most of the time you search Guru. If you already have Guru, you search Phoenix. If you already have Phoenix, either search a second Phoenix or search your Nemesis Archer. It's up to you. I usually, I think, have been searching a second Phoenix just so that I can have one for my turn and for their turn, right? Just in case. 2 copies of Final Battle. So if you've watched my Adventures of a Guru series or Guru video that I just posted, so having 2 of these is so freaking good, right? This card by itself is good. Like some Subterror players like to run one of these, and honestly, you could get by with running one of these, but having that second copy is so good. Not only because like you know, if they out your first copy, like Phoenix can't actually recycle this, right? But also, you have 2 copies, as you saw in my matchup against the what was it, Zombie World, Grass Zombie World, Brandon Eldritch. Yeah, you could just do multiple flips, multiple of these effects, right? So this has 4 effects. You can do 2 of them per turn, which is amazing, right? You typically use one to. So let's go over the 4 abilities effects. So this card, after you activate it, it sets face down again instead of going to graveyard. So this says change 1 Subterror monster on the field face up attack or defense position. So basically, if you have a set Guru and you have it, you know, let's say it's like near your opponent's end phase, you can just flip it and have Guru search immediately, right? Change 1 face up Subterror monster on the field face down defense position. You could if your Guru's face up, you can set it face down, and on your turn you can like flip Guru and get a search, right? So literally, if you have 2 of these, you can literally like. Flip a Guru and then set a Guru on the same turn, right? Third ability, which is highly underrated, and most people don't. Yu-Gi-Oh players never read cards, right? But this third ability is awesome. The attack of 1 face-up monster on the field becomes equal to its combined original attack and defense until the end of this turn. So basically, Guru becomes 3,400 attack defense, Archer becomes 3,000, and Phoenix becomes 1,300. So this is how you get over some boss monsters. This is going to attack over Garden Chimera. This is going to attack over a lot of things, right? Yeah, highly underrated. Usually you use this effect on the damage calculation, right? This turn, activate effects and Subterror cards cannot be negated. This is the most underrated of all the abilities, but it's probably the best one, right? They call by the grave you use Phoenix. They call by the grave your Phoenix to negate the negate. You flip this and say Subterror cards cannot be negated. Call by the grave does nothing. You flip Guru. They ash your Guru. You know, Guru tries to search you, ash your Guru. Chain this. Subterror cards cannot be negated. You flip Guru. They try to imperm your Guru. Flip this. Activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. You flip Guru. They use Effect Veiler. Chain this. Activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. They use Chi Shao to banish a card. Try to negate Guru. Flip this. Subterror cards cannot be negated. It's so there's so many applications. Marine Cess. Wave. Right. So the card says, oh, negate the activated effects of whatever. Right. Bam. Chain. Subterror cards cannot be negated. Let's say you're under skill drain. You're against an Eldritch, or your opponent uses skill drain, or maybe you have a skill drain, right? Skill drain negates the effects of all monsters on the field. So if you activate, so let's say skill drain is on the field, you flip Guru, you activate Guru's effect, you chain this card, say Subterror cards cannot be negated. So the effect of Guru still goes through despite being skill drain. It's so freaking amazing. I like having 2 of these because, like, you know, most of the time, you know, if you're not like using the flip up, face flip down, I like to use the Subterror cards cannot be negated effect plus 1 other effect, which is just amazing, right? Yeah. Also works against Forbidden Droplet. It works against so many things. Please play this card. Play 2 of these cards. Hell, I wouldn't get mad at you if you play 3 of them, but it's kind of bricky if you open it without Guru. So I think 2 is a good ratio here. All right. So this is Subterror Core. Hopefully, you know, you don't mess with these ratios. This is the cards you should always be running. Onward to the next set of cards, which I consider to be core to control decks. So let's start with Lord of the Heavenly Prison. We're running 3 of these. We're running 1 copy of Terraforming. Actually, Terraforming is not core to every control deck, but it's just a 4th copy of Hidden City. You definitely want that, right? Pot of Extravagance. 2 copies of that. 2 copies of Pot of Duality. I like to always deck build with this. 3 copies of Solemn Strike. Alright. So I think these are super core if you're playing a control deck of any kind. Like, yeah, if you were playing the Umi control, you're definitely having Lord. You're definitely having Solemn Strikes. Actually, I would say Lord you probably don't need because Sea Stealth Attack already protects your back row, right? And Extrav definitely still good at Umi control. Anyway, so 3 copies of Solemn Strike, non-negotiable. This card is not once per turn. It just negates monster effects. Like, your opponent has an Omnigate, you try to flip another card, they try to negate your flip, you just say no. Bam, kill them, right? This also kills summons, right? Sky Striker, they summon Ray, link into whatever, Hayate, you Solemn Strike, Hayate was never on the field, Ray cannot recycle itself, right? They try to Access Code play you. They summon Access Code, you Solemn Strike, gone. They try to Zeus you. Oh, they attack you directly, or whatever. They make Downer, they make Zeus, you Solemn Strike, no Zeus, bam, done. Great card. I'll definitely play 3 of these. So let's talk about Lord a little bit. So Lord is extra good in Subterror because so Lord's effect, the first effect, which it reveals in hand, protects set cards. Set cards includes monsters and back row, not just back row. A lot of players don't realize this, right? If you recall from one of my Adventures of Guru video, there was a game I played against a Brandon Despia player, right? So I had Lord in hand, 3 set, and I had Guru face up. He summons Guardian Chimera. He activates Guardian Chimera, right? Guardian Chimera is obviously going to draw him some cards and pop, right? I chain Final Battle and I flip Guru face down. So Guru is now face down on the field, right? Chimera resolves. He attempts to pop Guru. Guru does not get popped because Lord of Heavenly Prison protects it. So a lot of players don't even know this, right? It's so good, right? Like, they summon Access Code. You have Lord. You have face down Guru. You have a bunch of set cards. Access Code cannot pop any of your cards. Straight up. Like, nothing. He just has to attack you, right? He can't actually pop your cards if you have Lord. So good. And then the second effect is, on either player's turn, when a set spell trap is activated, special summon this card from your hand, and if this card was revealed from its other effect, you get to set a card, a spell trap, directly from your deck, right? So, we'll get into what cards you want to search. It's basically a searcher for your spell traps. It's so good. Like, this generates a 3k body, and it searches you whatever spell trap your heart desires. The only caveat is the end phase of the next turn, you have to banish whatever spell trap you search. So most of the time, if you recall from my Eldritch deck, I'll be searching spell traps that I use immediately, such as Pot of Extrav. So yeah, most of the time, or a lot of time, you can use Lord to search Pot of Extrav. In the Eldritch case, you want to search Elixir sometimes, right? Again, if you don't have your Subterror engine at all, you can summon Lord and search Terraforming. Because you flip Terraforming, search Hidden City Guru, Guru Fiendus, you know, you get the idea, right? Alright, let's talk about Floodgates. So, Floodgates that are good in the current format. So we're running 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. This Floodgate is the best Floodgate in the current format. It's very rare that that's the case, right? This kills Flu. This kills Sword Soul. This kills Marine Cess. This kills Code Talker. This kills Invoked, right? This kills freaking what is it called? Salamangreat, right? This kills so many decks. Pendulums, right? They just can't play through it. Does not hit Brandon Despia, so that's the unfortunate part. And it only slightly affects Umi control, right? Slightly. Really good against zombie world decks, right? Because this is like, oh, all your monsters are zombies. All right, well, now you can only have one of them, right? Eldritch decks. They can't conk or Waquero while they have their Eldritch on the field, right? What else? Heroes. Heroes are all warrior monsters. Flip this, bam. You can only have one of them. So most of the decks you'll be seeing in the format, this can like straight up just end their entire existence, except for Brandon Despia. So, but that's okay. It's still worth it. All right. Other Floodgates we're playing. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. 2 of these. Just 2. The reason we're running 2 is because the main decks that this will be dealing with will be Brandon Despia, right? This completely kills Brandon Despia. They literally can't do anything. And it also hits Pendulums. Pendulums became very popular since, you know, they got a lot of support. There's been a lot more Pendulums, and most of their Pendulum monsters are darks. Endymion is a dark. Jackal King is a dark, right? There's so many darks. Skullcrow Bat Joker is a dark, right? Purple Poison is a dark. So, yeah, this will straight up just say no to all their effects. Like, just negates everything, right? And then, finally, the last Floodgate we're running is Imperial Iron Wall. That's right, baby. You see this in my Adventures of video. We're running 3 of, because this card is so unbelievably good. Like, words cannot describe how good this card is right now. So, this card, it hits Brandon Despia, right? Mirror Jade cannot banish. which means its effect cannot be activated, which means it's literally a worthless 3k body, right? What else? Brandon in red must banish the fusion materials. Yeah, Brandon in red completely deactivated during this, right? They can't banish tragedy to recycle cards, right? Like this just completely nullifies so many aspects of the Brandon Espia. Against Flu, right? They tribute their birds, they go to the graveyard instead of the banish pile. Uh-oh, how are they going to be able to summon on your turn now, right? They literally can't chain block. They can't activate map. So most of the time they use map. They play map. They activate map's effect. You chain this, and then they're done. They can't. They have one chain of normal summons. That's it, right? They can't do anything. So yeah, Pure Iron Wall, really good. Marine Cess doesn't rely that heavily on banishes, but there's a lot of like. Effects that recur. So like one of their Seahorse, I think, you banish it to special summon a monster, right? If you can't banish, they can't special summon. That's one fewer body, right? There's other banish effects. Like I think there's one that's like on Marine Cess where you banish and then you recycle your spell trap. There's the Link 3. The Link 3 I think you banish and then it summons like 3 monsters that add up to Link 3 or something. So there are a lot of cards that rely on banishing, but also, folks. This kills Called by the Grave. That's right. So this is face up on the field. Fiendness cannot be called by the grave. Done, right? It's so awesome. Let's say your opponent's running evenly matched. This kills evenly matched, right? So most of the time you can protect your back row from like Lightning Storm or whatever, Harpies with Lord, but what about evenly matched? This card kills evenly matched, right? So many applications of this card. It's so hilariously underrated. You should be playing 3 of these, 100%. So yeah, one of the cool things about Guru is that it's one of the few control decks that can pretty much run the 3 best Floodgates in the format right now, which is Tikaboo, Imperial Iron Wall, Shadow Imprisoning. So Eldritch can run Tikaboo and Shadow Imprisoning, but Eldritch, like, you kind of kneecap yourself via Imperial Iron Wall. Oh yeah, against Sword Soul. So Sword Soul, Chi Shao banishes. So basically Imperial Iron Wall says Chi Shao does nothing, right? All the Tennies banish. So you literally shut off their Tenny engine. What else? All their Chenging. Chenging is that Synchro 10 that banishes cards and to protect itself and banishes cards from your field and graveyard. This basically says, oh, you do nothing, right? So also they can't play Pot of Desires, right? Because Pot of Desires requires banishing. So please play 3 of these cards. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. This is like the Witch's Strike of the current format, right? So many times your opponent might just insta scoop, right? If you activate it. Alright, so those are all the trap floodgates. What other traps are we running? So we are running 2 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. I like this card. It's spot removal. It takes out 2 cards, right? Yeah, it's just good. It's also potentially back row clear, right? Alright, what about for the last few cards? What are we running? Alright, so here's some of the spice, right, that I decided to go for in this iteration of Subterror. I decided to run 3 copies of Shifter, D-Shifter. That's right. Subterror can run D-Shifter. It doesn't care about the graveyard that much. The only thing I would say is, like, well, Fiendus needs to go to the graveyard to activate, but you can shut off Fiendus for 1 turn and be okay most of the time. But yeah, most decks cannot play under Shifter, period. So if you're going to second alert a lot of decks, Adamancipator, like Drytron, whatever, you Shifter them, their turn is over, right? So Subterror, unfortunately, is notoriously worse going second than Eldritch, right? Eldritch has so many tools for going second to blow out boards. Subterror, not so much. So we kind of want to use some hand traps, right, for being able to go second to kill their board. And my favorite types of hand traps are Floodgate hand traps. D-Shifter is a Floodgate hand trap, right? So for 2 turns, all cards are banished. Imagine having Macrocosmos on your field for 2 turns. It's great. You know, I think, oh, but it's only a 1 to 2 turn thing. Well, we used to run D-Barrier. Remember that card D-Barrier, which prevented fusion summoning or synchro summoning for 1 turn? I mean, that was a 1-turn lingering floodgate, but we still ran it. It was great. Yeah, I'm deciding to run 3 copies of D-Shifter. You D-Shifter against Brandon Espia. Mirror Jade can't do anything. A lot of their cards require going to the graveyard to do stuff, and if you lock them out of their graveyard, they can't Brandon in red, right? They have nothing in the graveyard. They can't do so much under D-Shifter, right? Obviously, D-Shifter doesn't hit what's it called? Flu, because Flu doesn't care, right? But it does hit Marine Cess. Marine Cess turn ends, right? They can't play under D-Shifter. Salamangreat can't play under D-Shifter. Dragon Link can't play under D-Shifter. Pendulums. So for those who don't know, normally when pendulum cards are destroyed, they go to the extra deck. If D-Shifter is active, any pendulum cards that are destroyed go banished. They do not go to the extra deck. So you can literally like just kill all of a pendulum player's resources. Most of the time what I like to do is, they like to set up 2 pen scales, including an Oath Dragon or one of the self-popping ones. They activate Oath Dragon or whatever, or Spellcaster pen scale to pop itself and search a card. You chain D-Shifter to that, so it at least forces them to banish at least one of their card, and then they can either end their turn or attempt to play through D-Shifter, which is very hard for them. So yeah, D-Shifter's so good. And honestly, if you're going first, like, and you need Feedness, let's say you open Imperial Iron Wall and D-Shifter. If you really need Feedness for whatever reason, you could always like turn off D-Shifter by just flipping Imperial Iron Wall, right? Most of the time it's not worth it. Most of the time D-Shifter will just kill your opponent's turn. But sometimes it's like, well, Imperial Iron Wall also kills their turn, then yeah, flip that on their turn. Right? Alright, the next hand trap floodgate that we're running is Nibiru. That's right, 2 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Being. So because the adventure engine very seldom shows up anymore, right? I mean, once here or there you'll see a deck with the adventure engine, but very rare. Nibiru will straight up just like kill most decks, right? Marine Cess. They don't set up any Omni Negates unless they go through like Toad, right? But if they don't have Toad, which most of them don't go through Toad, they just go to their Link 4. Yeah, they finish setting up their little Link 4 thing. You just Nibiru, tribute it, right? Obviously, if you can't Nibiru if they use Crystal Heart. But if they don't use Crystal Heart, or if they just summon Crystal Heart and are about to make their Link 4, then you activate Nibiru. It's so easy to Nibiru against Marine Cess, even Sword Soul. So Sword Soul, guess what, folks? Most Sword Soul players go Moye token, Chi Shao. Long end token. That's 5 summons. Before they make Baronne de Fleur, they already did 5 summons. You Nibiru them. Bam, their turn is over. So some Sword Soul players will try to get Long end and Moye together. So what a lot of them like to do, if they're smart and playing around Nibiru, they'll do Moye token. Do not link Chi Shao, but that means they can't search Long end, so they have to hard open it or search it off of Emergence, right? And then they Long end and then Long end token. So that's 4 summons. And then their 5th summon is they synchro Long end and the token into Baronne. And then Baronne is their 5th summon. And then Nibiru can negate, and then Baronne can negate Nibiru. But that's actually okay because let's say you do Nibiru or try to Nibiru. They just wasted their Baronne negate. Baronne negate is not once per turn. It's once per while it's on the field, right? So, worst case. So best case against Sword Soul, you Nibiru their board. They have nothing. Worst case, you ate their Baronne negate in exchange for Nibiru, and then you can go into your turn knowing that you don't have to deal with Baronne negate at all, right? So, yeah, Nibiru very good. You saw the this was a recent addition to the deck. This is great against Adamanticators. This is great against Dragon Link, right? As you saw in my Adventures of video that I posted last time against a Dragon Link player. Yeah, you literally just wait until Borreload Savage Dragon hits the field, and then when it activates its effect to gain tokens and the negate, you chain Nibiru, and then they're done. You blew them out, right? Nibiru doesn't quite hit Flu if they go like Barrier Statue, but if they have to go to 5 summons before Barrier Statue, then it can hit Flu, right? Yeah, Nibiru's just so good on the format, like. And the cool thing about Nibiru is, let's say you're going first and you have Nibiru in hand. Read what this says. You can tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible. So that means if you have a face-down Subterror Guru, it will not get tributed by Nibiru. So you won't even clear your own field. How hilarious is that, right? And yeah, as for dealing with the Nibiru token, we have multiple ways of dealing with a Nibiru token, which you'll see soon. And then finally, the last 2 cards running in this deck are Duel and Lockbird. So we are running 2 copies of Duel and Lockbird. Actually, that's not a finally. I have another card I want to talk about. So we are running 2 copies of Duel. This card is great. It's a hand trap floodgate, which happens to hit a lot of decks in the current format. If you Droll Flu, they literally end their turn instantly. Like, if I'm a Flu player and they Droll me, I'm like the saddest Flu player in existence, right? It's like, oh fuck, this is like the worst possible card hand trap they can use against me. I don't care about Ash or Imperm as much, but Droll will literally end my turn, right? Marine Cess doesn't search that much, but does have some amount of searching. Droll will weaken their board, but not prevent them from building a solid one. Dragon Link, end their turn. Drytron, end their turn. The Pendulums, end their turn. Yeah, Pendulum's very popular. Droll will end their turn, like, straight up. Pendulum players hate going against Droll. So, there's just so many decks that Droll like, hits hard. That, like, yeah, I kind of just want to have that available. so that I could like not have to deal with it. Branded Despia, like Droll doesn't hit as hard, but it does weaken them a little bit. Because remember, Branded Despia has a lot of like, you know, they get a lot of plus and searches off of their monsters and card effects. So you know, this will lock them out after one search. So you know, they won't be as impressive. Like let's say they open Fright Fur, the Fright Fur monster, or the Fright Fur Patchwork. You activate that, they search the thing, you Droll, and then what do they got? Like they can't search off Tragedy, they can't search off Brandon Lost, they can't search off a lot of stuff, right? If you're against a hero players hate going against Droll. Like they can't do anything unless they hard open like Plasma or they hard open Poly with 2 Destiny heroes, right? Their end board is going to be like non-existent. So yeah, Droll is going to kill a lot of decks. Adamantipator too, love searching, right? Doesn't completely kill their deck. They can still do some stuff, but yeah, it does screw them a little bit. So one thing I ended up doing near the end was I actually took out Pod Duality for Lava Golems. So yeah, I decided, you know what? Again, this is optional. So the reason I would take out Pod Duality is because Pod Duality locks you out of special summon and Lava Golems of special summon. So yeah, there's a lot of most of the boards in the current format are like 2 monster boards, 1 or 2 monster boards, right? Yeah, so yeah, the climb of Diamond 2 to Diamond 1 for me took a little longer than the other tiers of Diamond. I think it's because like I played most of my games to Diamond before like the new Pendulum stuff came out, and then after the Pendulum stuff came out, like there were a lot more Pendulum decks I saw, and like yeah, Pendulums are kind of annoying to deal with, but a lot of times they either end on either Endymion plus Jackal, or like Appaloosa, Titaniclad, or not Titaniclad, Hope Harbinger, right? Usually a 2 monster board with the gate, or Barone plus Appaloosa, right? So having Lava Golem to just out two problematic monsters is very good. The only unfortunate part is that you can't normal summon set monsters the turn you use this. So if you have Guru like Phoenix, you know, you just can't use it, right? There's also a way to out a Marine Cess board, like obviously if they have Crystal Heart, right? So Marine Cess with Crystal Heart, like 4 monsters basically unaffected by card effects, right? Like kind of indestructible. But if you're able to bait or get them to summon a second monster, which sometimes they do summon a second monster, you just Lava Golem their board away, and you don't have to deal with it. Obviously, you cannot Lava Golem under Barrier Statue if you're against Flu, but again, this was kind of like a last minute addition. I'm not entirely sold on it. I'd be okay if you took out Lava Golem and just kept Pot of Duality. So yeah, I just thought Lava Golem would be interesting. Just strengthens my going second ability, because my going first is just already so good, right? That I felt like just going second needed a lot of help, right? If you recall, in previous formats, previous iterations of Subterror deck, I had 2 copies of Sphere Mode. That was back when like everyone was playing Halki Fibrax, right, and like generating so many negates on their board. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna Sphere Mode them away. Now it's like 1 or 2 monster end boards, so it's not as easy to use Sphere Mode, but Lava Golem is still pretty solid. All right, let's get into the extra deck. So we have, let's do our Dogmatic Punishment targets. 3 copies of Imtis. Pretty self-explanatory. You send this off punishment, you pop an additional card. Wind Pegasus Agnister. Allows you to bounce a card back into their deck. Cypher Lord Omega. Okay, this allows you to basically bounce cards from the graveyard into the deck. We're also running a Zeus package, Assembled Nightingale, Downed Magician, and Zeus. So recall that Phoenix is a level 1, right? Assembled Nightingale is a rank 1. Phoenix can revive a second Phoenix. So basically, normal 1 Phoenix, you special a second Phoenix, and now you can go to Assembled Nightingale, attack them directly, Downer, Zeus, you have 4 material Zeus, bam. This never actually came up, but you have that option. It's a pretty good toolbox thing, right? Now for Link monsters, we have Link Kuriboh. Sometimes it's just, handy to link away your Phoenix, or to just get battle protection, right? Relinquish Anima. This is one of the ways that we deal with the Nibiru token. We can also use it to deal with Lava Golem, right? Because when we summon a Nibiru token or Lava Golem, we put it in any column we want. We'll put this in front of our extra monster slot, right? So, and you saw in my my Adventures of video, my last one, right? A Sorcerer player was dumb enough to put their Barone in the same column as the extra monster zone. So I literally like baited a Chi Shao negate and a Barone negate with like 1 Phoenix. It was hilarious because of Relinquish Anima. Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon links away Guru. So this sends Guru to the graveyard, and then you can use Phoenix to revive Guru back. So basically this allows you to link climb a little bit, right? Because, you know, let's say you start with Guru on field, Phoenix in hand, right? That's 2 bodies. Guru links into this, 1 body on the field. Normal Phoenix flip, use effect, revive Guru. Now you have 3 bodies, right? So this is a link climber, basically. We have so those are link 2s. Those are link 1s. Our link 2s. We have also the Earth Charmer and the Dark Charmer. So Alsa is an Earth. You know, can revive your opponent's max C. Can revive, you know, and your Subterror monster all Earth, right? It just helps you link climb. Dark is a Dark. You can link it off with Lord of Heavenly Prison with or if you turn Phoenix into a Dark monster using a Link Karibo or Relinquish Anima, you can then go into Dark. Or you can turn Guru into a Dark monster using Striker Dragon, right? So very easy to make Dark in this deck. Revives your Dark monsters, right? Ensues shenanigans. And for the last 2 decks cards, we have Selene, right? So we have Phoenix is a spellcaster, so it can revive Phoenix to help link climb. And then of course Access Code Talker. So this extra deck in my climb from Diamond 5 to Diamond 1, the only time it came up was Relinquish Anima and the Dogmatic Punishment targets. I never went into Zeus, I never went into Access Code, but you have those tools there just in case you need them, or you can go into those things, right? But oftentimes you don't even need to, or you know, maybe you play Pot of Extravagance and you banish some of those cards and you can't go into them anyway. So it's not a big deal if you don't want to pay for Zeus, like, because there's a lot of URs here. You don't want to pay a UR for Selene or Access Code. Cut those cards, fine. It's not a big deal because like they're not absolutely necessary for the deck to function. They're just, you know, bonus toolbox cards if the situation ever calls for it, if it ever comes up, right? But you know, don't worry about it if it doesn't. Anyway, so this is my deck. Some players in my comment section, some commenters on my videos said, "Oh, what about Grave of the Super Ancient Organism?" This card right here. What about running this card? Is this card very good in the format? So this card kills Random Despia, kills Pendulums, kills a lot of things, right? It's a good card. It says level 6 or higher special monster on the field cannot declare attacks, and players cannot activate their effects. So Guru, Phoenix, and Archer are all level 4 and under, right? So this will only stop your Lord of the Heavenly Prison from being able to declare attacks. This could technically stop the Nibiru token from attacking you, right? But this card does, unfortunately, this card does nothing against Marine Cess, does nothing against Flu, does nothing against Salamangreat. So there are too many decks where this does nothing against. But like if it was just a Branded Despia format, or even a Sword Soul format, honestly, like if it was just Branded Despia and Sword Soul, this would be a great card. But unfortunately, it's not. There are too many decks where this does nothing. What about Needle Sealing? Needle Sealing is great. It's a blowout card, similar to Torrential. Kills monsters on the field, but only face-up monsters, so your Subterror, your face-down Guru can dodge it. The only problem I have with Needle Sealing is, like, right now in the format, not a lot of decks have that many monsters on the field to begin with. But, maybe, you know, if you're going first, they start building their board, maybe they can get enough monsters for you to trigger this effect. But I haven't really felt that. Like, maybe Pendulums. This would be best against Pendulums, right? They Pendulum summon, like, 4 monsters, you Needle Sealing. Bam, right? But, like, if you're against Marine Cess is like, oh, they have one, like, 4. Like, you're against Flu, they have, like, 2 monsters, right? I mean, I guess Flu, it's a little better. So, this card is fine. I'm not opposed to it if you want to run it. What about Solemn Judgment? Didn't I have Solemn Judgment at one point in my Adventures of... Yeah, I had... So, previously I had 2 Solemn Judgments in my deck. I decided to cut them because, honestly, I had enough back row protection between Phoenix and Lord of Heavenly Prison that I didn't actually felt like I needed it, right? Feel free to run 2 of these. I think 2 is probably more than enough. But yeah, but if you watch any of the replays that I posted, like the Adventures of series, like, yeah, I do have Judgment, I do use it sometimes, but it's not honestly not even that important because most of the time when they try to clear my back row, I have Judgment. So I also have a Phoenix in hand, so whatever, right? So not a big deal, but this is really good against Pendulums. They pen summon like 4 monsters, you Solemn Judgment, their monsters go to the graveyard. Bam, done, right? So yeah, this is my deck profile. What would you cut to put some of these cards in? Probably cut Lava Golem. Well, Lava Golem for duality. I guess you could cut Drone Lockbird. If you don't like Punishment, I guess you can cut that, but I really like Punishment. You can cut Nibiru. But I feel like I needed to make going second with this deck better. And so this is the way that I went about that, right? So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, feel free to leave a comment or like or whatever. I thought Subterror is a pretty good deck in the format because of what Floodgates are popular and good. It kind of all lines up and falls into place nicely. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. See you in the next video. Peace.